Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Green Dragons Game Club. Without us, they never feel like winners. Without them, we couldn't look so good. So today we have a battle between Saurian Ancients and Dwarven Hold coming up. Now, this is after the release of 1.2. So it's going to be 2250, which equates out to be the 4500 and all the new books. And the game that you're about ready to see is actually the first game that my group has actually played with this rules. So again, about my group, I say this every time, is we're out in Westchester, Pennsylvania, just outside Philadelphia. So we're always looking for like-minded individuals. If you're out there, do me a favor, reach out to me, SirMC2015 up on the boards. Contact me through YouTube. Always happy to try to meet you, get a game in. If you're part of our mindset, just more than welcome to join us. So again, let's get on to the show. So, Saurian Ancients versus Dwarven Holds. And Dave is playing his Saurian Ancients. We're actually going up to that tournament, which you probably have heard me talk about, up in Durham, North Carolina. It's Quest for the Grail. So, he's trying to get his Saurian Ancients together. I'm trying to work on my Dwarven Holds and trying to work on a list. They have updated it. So, this was before they actually updated it. So, again, it's at 4,500 points. And I don't have his list, and I don't... I'm not going to give you my list, so I'm just going to try going through everything on the board as you see it. So here we have the armies. Going from left to right, he's got a unit of 10 sources. The Treekin is supposed to be one of those spitting salamanders. He's got 10 skink with javelins. The Hydra is actually supposed to be his Carnosaur. It's the baby Carnosaur. So it's only a monstrous beast with a rider. So versus a... Oh, what is it? Versus the big one, which is the Monster Mount. Then he's got a block of the... Oh, what are they? The Dryads are Saurian warriors. And then... the other two critters are actually supposed to be the pterosaurs. One's got the blessing that it gives. Then he's got another block of warriors. Then he's got another spitter, followed by the 4 croxagores off in the corner behind the building. Now, what I have down here is I have a Vengeance Seeker, and I have 10 warriors with sword and board. Nothing else. I have my organ gun. I have 12 handgunners. They are still guild crafted, so they lost the +1 to hit. Now it is accurate. So what accurate does means that you ignore long range. So basically, they always hit on 4s unless I move. I don't see much of a difference other than short range. I'm not hitting you on 3s. It's still pretty good. It can be very helpful at times, but it's a mixed bag. Question is it worth its points? Then I've got 10 Forge Wardens with command. I have 25 Spears with command and my BSB. And then I've got my King on a Throne with 20 Deep Watch and my infamous 10 Warriors, Great Weapons, Throwing Weapons, that Vanguard. So we started moving back and forth, and then I turned around, I dropped everything, and I went first. So Dwarven, turn 1. So as you can see, I Vanguarded, and I actually did move other things up. Unfortunately, I neglected to take a picture of it, but you'll see the moves in just a moment. I moved everything up. Nothing, his dinosaurs, the monsters, playing as dwarves. And again, Knights of Aquitaine, I have played Bretonnia for 20 years now. That is still my primary army. As you can tell, I have multiple armies because there's other models you see that are not Saurian warriors. Those are mine. But it's... So Aquitaine's my main army. Dwarves, playing dwarves is such a different experience for me, and it's trying to deal with these monsters. So all I have is I have a and I have a cannon. I have my cannon. I have my organ gun. I have my king. That's really all that I have to deal with those monsters. And the question is that enough? I don't know. We're going to find out. So I move up, nothing really major happens. Turn 1, cannon missed. Organ gun, I think didn't really do anything if I remember correctly. And that's how now the board looks. And so my opponent moved up as well. So he moved the skinks from the hill right behind the piece of terrain there. He's got his Alpha Carnosaur or his Carnosaur there. He's moving up his big block. And that's it. During magic phase and shooting phase, he turns around. He manages to kill one of my dwarves. And that was it. And they did have Rune of Gleaming on them, so there's -1 to hit. Now, one big change when you're playing against dwarves is that I used to field 2 runesmiths that were considered apprentices, only +1 to +1 to dispel, and they only had two runes each. Now, the way the point system is the runesmith is actually costs more, and I'm not able because with the 35% versus what I used to be able to field in the army for characters, I can't actually field my old army because I think Dan and I figured it out. It used to be 38%. But with the new runesmith, the runesmith is now always a master and can take up to 3 wounds and now has a 12-inch range. It's a mixed bag as to how I feel about that because I really do appreciate the extra range and everything else, but the points associated with it, because that's not my play style, and now I feel I'm being forced into another play style. It's not. I'm not griping. I'm not up in arms against it. I'm just saying it's a learning experience for me because now it's taking the play style that I have been playing and been very successful with. Now I have to retool some of the things that I used to do, and I can't do everything. There just isn't enough points in the game. But I'm considering a couple different things. So dwarves turn 2. What happens here? I maneuver up some more. I try shooting his big Carnosaur. The thing is his Carnosaur has the regen and Forgeborn. However, before I start hearing a bunch of tweets saying, no, it's changed. I know that now. We know that now. We missed it. Apparently, now if you have regeneration, you cannot be Fireborn, and vice versa. So I really appreciate that. I think it took that broken tooling list in regards to that and definitely fixed that. I think you'll see less Fireborn at this point in time. And no, that's basically it. Let's see. So I've got one more picture here. This shows my movement. So I start to take my Deep Watch over. Not worry about his Croxagores because his Croxagores really can't see around that hill. And not only that, but I have the Banner of Dismay in my Kingsguard unit, so I really get to pick what battles I hit with. And unfortunately, I just don't know, even though I helped him make the army list, I don't know enough about his army to say his tactics, other than he's fearful of my Deep Watch with the king and will keep backing up. So that's that. One charge I did manage to do is I took my unit of great weapons and threw him into one of his big critters. So there's that charge, and I have Rune of Gleaming. Over here, I managed to put one wound onto his Carnosaur, and I put 2 wounds onto that critter there from shooting. I put 1 wound on the other critter, but I lost 2 guys in the process. So now it's Lizard's turn 2. How I killed that thing, I don't remember how I killed the salamander. I think I killed it in close combat with the warriors. And that's it. Over here, between his attacks and the stomps, really is the stomps that got me. He just pulverized that unit. So I ended up with only 2 left. They auto break. He had managed to get a charge into my organ gun and ate the organ gun. And then because the thing is frenzied, it had to overrun, but it barely moved. Dwarves turn 3. here's how the board looks. So he during his last turn had taken his, he's got his one salamander over there. He had put his Croxagores up on the hill, and that's basically it. Nothing big, nothing major. I don't know. It's looking at this in retrospect because I know what I do next. I have a couple options open. Is I could have turned around and taken my Spear-Dwarves into the Carnosaurs or the Spitter, or I could go up towards his warriors. So all these were different options. I don't know why I didn't do that. So I'm trying to get my Deep Watch into combat, and that's it. And nothing happens during my turn. Turn 3 to him. He turns around. He killed 2 of them with either magic or shooting. I forget which. Those warriors are still running. Dwarves turn 4. So if you look on the left-hand side, he tried to charge. I'm just going to call him Chucky Jr. Because it's a Vengeance Seeker, not the character that I used to field. So he tried to charge Chucky Jr. and failed. So Chucky Jr. charged him. Or no, he got the charge in Chucky Jr. He did charge Chucky Jr. And the way Chucky Jr. Or Chucky Light works is he does 3d3 attacks. He strikes at initiative 10 and his strength 5 with 3 wounds. He's unbreakable. Whose idea was this thing to put that in as a unit? It's 120 points. Oi! That to me, and obviously I'm playing him. Seeing him in combat, and you'll see him in another game or two. Actually, my next 2 games you'll see him too. It's just very different seeing that come from a dwarf. Granted, with my character, he was initiative 7, 8, and this guy would be initiative 10. And it's 3d3, so anywhere between 3 to 9 attacks. My other guy has anywhere from 6 to he'd be 7 to 9 attacks. Unless you decide to box him in. Why you do that, I have no idea. But that's a lot. So one's over 200 points. One's probably closer to 300 something points, and this one here is 120 points. And the Saurus Warriors, it's a pretty close one. It's going to be a tough fight. He charged in with his Saurus Warriors into my spears, and he ends up in my cannon down below. No shocker there. The cannon tried to shoot his Carnosaur and failed miserably as I marched to get away from this Carnosaur. And there's it. So over here, I did 3 wounds to nothing. And there's my opponent, Dave, going, I can't believe that just happened. I can't believe that just happened. Because he didn't do a single wound to me. Or if he did, I saved it. And he's got a 6-up ward save, which is a t-shirt save. But still, he did nothing. The thing's toughness 4. So he's not hard to wound, but he's hard to hit. So he needs 5s to hit me in combat, and then he needed 4s to wound me. Over here in that combat, I lost a few of my dwarves, and he lost more than that. So he ends up breaking, and that was my turn. I charged him. So he ends up rallying during his turn, and he puts a spell up on him, and he maneuvers things around. And the spell he got off was +1 strength, +1 toughness. So all of a sudden, that unit I don't want to go into. It's still tempting, but still I need 5s to wound. That's my biggest drawback right now, is needing those 5s to wound. Because right now my characters, I don't have them kitted out in this game the way I truly would like them. I lost 1 due to shooting. I lost another one. And that's it. Over there in that combat, he loses another 2 guys. Again, Dave is going, I got nothing. I just flat out I've got nothing. Over there, he easily eats my cannon, so hence the cannon disappears. So now it's turn 5. So I had charged out of my unit. Let's see if I can go back a few pictures here. So here is where he is. Even though his warriors are facing the wrong way, we just didn't move him around. So I saw him do this, and that big critter over there has like 1 or 2 wounds left. It's already been damaged. I'm like, you know what? I can do that. I can go into that thing. Because he's got the spell up on the unit in front of me. I'm like, you know what? My guy's strength 6 on the charge. I need force wound. I just need do a couple wounds. Let's do it. Let's go for broke. I made a mistake. You'll see that in just a few moments. So over here now has 1 wound left. 1 wound left. I mean, it was a good move. He didn't see it coming, but 1 wound left. His turn 5. He now charges in with the salamander, the Saurus warriors, and the other triceratops. And I do fairly well. I only lose 2, 4, 6, 8. I think 8 dwarves overall. So that's still very, very well, but not enough to stay in that combat. So they're going to end up breaking, and they'll rally just to get recharged the following turn. He charges my. He moved up in front of my handgunners just so I couldn't run away anymore. And that's it. The objective was hold the center. Unfortunately, I was too far from the center. I finally got his 1 unit of warriors involved with my king, and that was it. So over here, he eats my BSB. Just flat out, he eats them, and it's not because he hit and wounded. Stomps, because it's an infantry model. It just kills dwarves. Again, monsters are, and I feel that they should be, dwarves' Achilles heel. Over here, I just decimated that unit, and that was that. So I reformed. The following turn, he ends up charging that unit. I'm like, all right, I'm going to flee with them. They run past my king. He either overruns and fails to charge, or he's going to be foolish and redirect to my king. No, off to the side where you can't see, I actually have my unit of Forge Wardens trying to help my spears in that combat. And they were on the flank of his big critter there, the Pterosaur. And that Pterosaur with the stomps just ate. I think I ended up with 5, and then he redirects into that combat, and that was it. That was done. So ending result, I still have points left on the board, but end result, victory by Saurian Ancients. Dave, great game. It's been a long time since he's actually beaten me, so bravo. I made errors, flat out. I was outplayed by my opponent. I didn't have the tools that I'm used to having, and I can't say as an end result I played a sloppy game. I just think my opponent outplayed me. He kept backing up away from my king, my deep watch with my king, because he knows what that unit's capable of doing. He multi-charged in with the monster into my spears without my BSB. So again, and he got that spell off, and he chose the right spell. Good job. So to me, for the MVPs, it was the Saurian Ancients, and for the it's the Pterosaur for the Saurian Ancients, definitely MVP. He decimated the spear dwarves twice, because if not, that unit of Saurian warriors could not crack that nut. If you play dwarves, spear dwarves are great. They have shield wall, they have spears, they're fighting in 3 ranks. You throw a character in there with a hold stone, all of a sudden you get the flanks in there. If you're playing against them, beware of that. So it's a very good tactic. And again, throwing a monster in because they don't get lethal strike, only a -1. That's it. So maybe some hatred going on, but needing 6s to wound, then you get that armor save of, in Dave's case, 4+. But again, for me, it was still the Spear Dwarves. Spear Dwarves turn around and they won combat, then they held, and they keep, every time I play with them, I learn how much of a tough nut they are. I'm very happy with how that unit performs. That's it. Any questions, comments, go ahead and post. Again, this is my first game using the new rules. I know there are several changes that we probably missed. And until next time.